In the next 9 minutes, I will take you through what could become a major accounting controversy India has seen since the Satyam scam, which occurred in 2009. At the center of SEBI's interim order is a startling allegation. A listed company, Rajesh Exports, that may have misrepresented about 15 lakh crore rupees of revenue. Let's understand what happened. Quick thing before we begin, if you make it to the end of the video and find it useful, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps us figure out which stories are worth the deep dive and lets us keep doing more of these. Okay, let's go. The year was 1995. A Bangalore businessman named Rajesh Mehta took his company Rajesh Exports Limited public on Indian stock market. The pitch was simple: gold refining and jewelry manufacturing, exporting to markets around the world. For the first 15 years, the company existed without much attention, just like any listed gold business that quietly went about its work. That started to change in 2010s. In 2015, Rajesh Exports acquired a Swiss gold refinery called Valcambi SA. Valcambi was and still is one of the most prestigious names in the gold refining world. It refines bullion for central banks, for major jewelry houses, for sovereign mints as well. So the acquisition was quite significant. An Indian company had just bought one of the most established gold refineries on the planet, and on the back of that acquisition, Rajesh Exports started reporting numbers that made it look enormous. Lakhs of crores in revenue and a global gold business with reach across continents. By 2022, the market believed it. The company's stock had climbed steadily, its market capitalization had crossed 20,000 crore rupees, and it sat comfortably in the large cap bucket. LIC by 2021 held over 9% of the company. Mutual funds and foreign institutional investors were in on it as well. Now, on paper, Rajesh Exports was one of the largest gold businesses in the world by reported revenue. And then, somewhere around 2023, things start getting strange. First red flag. The first sign was something most investors might have missed. In 2023, the company failed to publish its audit report and comparative cash flow statements on time. Now, for a listed company of that size, that is a meaningful governance lapse. A cash flow statement tells you where the money actually went. Now, if a company isn't showing you that, analysts start asking questions, and some did. Independent equity researchers and a few financial journalists began wondering whether something was off, and the stock started to drift downward. By the end of 2023, it had moved out of large cap territory and into mid cap, and by early 2025, it was on its way to small cap. The market had begun to suspect something before anyone could prove anything. Second red flag. In 2024, a single shareholder did what shareholders are technically supposed to do, but very few actually do. They wrote to SEBI. Now, we don't know the shareholder's name, but what we do know is what they pointed out. The company's books showed enormous amounts of money owed to it by customers, and a lot of those receivables had been sitting unpaid for over 2 years. Now, for a business of Rajesh Exports' claimed scale, that didn't make sense at all. If you're really selling lakhs of crores of gold globally, customers don't take 2 years to pay you. They pay you in 30, 60, or maybe 90 days for the biggest contracts. So, SEBI flagged this unusually large and long pending receivables. The regulator opened a formal investigation, and the first thing it did was ask for the most basic stuff like bills, invoices, contracts, bank records. According to SEBI's interim order, Rajesh Exports did not fully cooperate. At one point, the company said to have argued that Swiss privacy laws prevented it from sharing records of its foreign subsidiaries. Now, when SEBI examined those laws, the regulator found that Swiss privacy protections primarily apply to individuals, not to corporations. And even when they do apply, regulatory investigations are an exception. Investigators then asked for supporting documents on a sample of purchase transactions, and according to the order, the company provided complete documentation for just about 2% of what was asked. Yes, just 2%. For sales transactions, it was about 35%, the rest amounting to several lakh crores over the period under investigation allegedly had little or no backing. Now, the company disputes all of this. It says the documentation does exist and that what SEBI is identifying is essentially a communication gap. That dispute is what the next several months of proceedings will be about. See, SEBI then turned to the source of nearly all of Rajesh Exports' reported revenue, its foreign subsidiaries. And here's the third red flag. Particularly Valcambi, the Swiss refinery and another Swiss entity called Global Gold Refineries AG, which sits above Valcambi in the corporate structure. And here is what the order alleges. Valcambi had audited financial statements signed off by KPMG, and those audited statements show annual revenues less than 0.2% of what Rajesh Exports was claiming at the consolidated level. To take one specific example cited in the order, in calendar year 2023, Valcambi's audited revenue was about 542 crore rupees. In the same year, Rajesh Exports was reporting consolidated revenue of roughly 2.81 lakh crore rupees. The company's explanation according to the order was that Valcambi only books processing fees and the actual gold sale revenue sits in the parent entity, that is GGR. But SEBI's response was that GGR is essentially a holding company. It doesn't run operations, and critically, GGR's consolidated financial statements were not required to be audited under Swiss law. So what the regulator is alleging is that Rajesh Exports was reporting unaudited internal numbers from a holding company as if they were the audited revenues of a global gold business, while ignoring the audited numbers of the only entity in the chain that actually refines gold. That's where the 15.15 lakh crore rupees figure comes from. That's the cumulative gap over 5 years between what was reported and what the regulator says it could independently verify. And then SEBI looked at the Indian side of the business, the fourth red flag. Here the order describes something almost stranger. Between FY22 and FY24, Rajesh Exports' standalone India business recorded sales worth 11,487 crores and purchases worth 11,488 crore rupees, almost exact the same amount, with a single counterparty. A company called Affluence Shares and Stocks Private Limited, 2/3 of Rajesh Exports' entire standalone business over 3 years with one single company. So SEBI looked into Affluence. According to its own regulatory filings, Affluence is a stockbroker. It provides advisory and brokerage services. Over those same 3 years, Affluence's own total revenue was about 113 crore rupees. Nothing in its filings suggests it dealt in physical gold, and when SEBI summoned Affluence and asked about its dealings with Rajesh Exports, Affluence reportedly replied, according to SEBI's account, that REL was never its client, that it had never had any agreement or transactions with the company. That should have been a dead end, except SEBI then pulled bank records, and what the order alleges it found was this. Affluence did have a client. The client was none other than Rajesh Mehta, the founder and chairman of Rajesh Exports. Personally, SEBI alleges that company funds may have been routed as Mr. Mehta held a personal trading account with Affluence and used it to trade gold derivatives on India's commodity exchange. And the company had allegedly been transferring money from its own account into Mr. Mehta's. Here is a part that explains the 11,000 crore figure. When you trade derivatives, you put down margin money, a small fraction of total contract value. SEBI alleges that Mr. Mehta's personal derivative trades, where the underlying contract value runs into thousands of crores, even though the cash involved is much smaller, were booked in the company's books as gold sales and purchases. Margin money of a few hundred crores got allegedly translated into 11,000 crores of inflated turnover. And the order goes further. It alleges that foreign exchange gains and losses, which should normally be shown separately, were added into operating revenues. Interest income from fixed deposits and mutual funds, which should normally appear under other income, was allegedly booked under revenue from operations. It also flags 1,035 crore rupees in claimed investments in gold mines in South Africa, for which, according to the regulator, the company couldn't provide documentation supporting their existence or valuation. Folks, that is the SEBI version of the story. Rajesh Exports has strongly denied all of it. In its stock exchange filing on June 4th, the company said that revenues have not been overstated and that what SEBI is identifying appears to be a communication gap and confusion between the regulator and the company. Rajesh Mehta personally told Money Control, and I'm quoting him, "It is an interim order and nothing in it is true. We are in the process of studying it and will prepare a response." Now, folks, this matters because what SEBI has issued is an interim order and not a final verdict. Rajesh Exports and Mr. Mehta have 21 days to respond formally, and a formal hearing will follow later. Now, what is already real, regardless of what the final verdict says, are the second order effects. The stock fell about 5% on June 4th, 2026, and it had already fallen around 45% of the previous 6 months. LIC, which still holds about 10.8% of the company as of March 2026, is now facing public questions about its due diligence process. Mauritius-based Bridge India Fund holds another 8.46%. There are mutual funds, foreign institutional investors, and retail shareholders all exposed to whatever happens next. So, whatever the final outcome, that exposure has already cost investors real money. What began as one shareholder writing to SEBI about unpaid receivables has turned into what may become one of the largest financial reporting investigations in recent Indian corporate history. The next several months, the response from the company, the full hearings, the forensic audit SEBI has ordered will determine whether these allegations hold up under scrutiny. We will follow the story as it develops. Anyways, folks, that's it from me today, and I will see you in the next one.